Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the McKinney. This is their part number 2004M ElectroLYNX pigtail package, and what's in this package I can show you is you're going to get a couple of ElectroLYNX adapters, and ElectroLYNX is the trade name that ASSA ABLOY uses that will allow you to connect. These are the ElectroLYNX adapters. You've got an 8-pin and a 4-pin, typical Molex connectors, where you can easily snap together hardware items from the ASSA ABLOY sister companies that participate in that ElectroLYNX platform. I don't know how many of their companies do or don't. I've never run into one that doesn't. You know, there could be, ASSA ABLOY is a multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporation. I don't know that Besom, you know, doors owned by ASSA ABLOY and, you know, hinges from McKinney, you know, are going to both go ElectroLYNX. But domestic manufacturing, Sargent, you know, Corbin Russwin, Yale, McKinney, Hess Strikes, obviously, Rixson. You can all order them ElectroLYNX, and then they will come out with the quick connectors. That's the bottom line. They also have pre-manufactured wire lengths, so if you needed to get from, you know, a door over to the frame, that's great. You can do that. You'll have your hinge transfer. You have your transfer hinge, let's say, or a pivot. Your quick connectors on the back, the hardware, let's say that it's a exit device with a request to exit switch, just thinking out, just random. Connect that to the hinge through the hinge now to the frame. Well, now I need to get that up and around, you know, to, let's say, my electromagnetic lock from Securitron. So you can buy these pre-manufactured lengths. And, you know, somebody's got to put all the wires together, you know, and they include the typical crimp wire connectors, because you will possibly need to crimp something, most certainly, right? You're crimping something. But it's nice to be able to connect that hardware together quickly. This package also includes the two pigtails for the Hess Strikes, and you'll use one of the two of these depending on your voltage that you're running. Okay, they come with wire connectors. So in this case, you're going to need to connect from your strike to your pigtail connector. You'll crimp that to your ElectroLYNX depending on what you're using, and then back to, you know, wherever it's coming from. You know, a wire probably with an ElectroLYNX back to a power supply or a reader. Obviously, these are just typical blue crimp connectors. I did not know what the technical term was, and right now at this point of the video you can listen in to hear what that technical description is.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
I ask you a question. The question is, the wire connectors included with the 2004M ElectroLYNX adapter, what is the proper term for that? What is that called?
Pigtail connector?
Yeah. Is it called a crimp style connector?
I don't know. I guess suppose. Well, I wonder if there's a description in the. I just call them a pigtail connector. That's what I call
Pigtail.
them.
Okay. Pigtail. Do these have, these blue connectors, do they have any sort of sealant inside of them?
No. Nope.
Okay.
Double check.
And
pretty confident in my answer. Let me see. No, they're just crimped in, as you said.
right on, and literally crimped in. Okay, I wanted to be sure before I started blabbing on about, like, pretending like I knew about the stuff. So thank you, thank you for the time. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
No
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Okay, so this is the item that we are looking at here. By the time you're seeing this video, there will be some upgraded photographs happening here. Make installation a snap with ElectroLYNX universal plug-in style connector that utilizes typical Molex connectors, which is an industry standard sort of connector. Standardized Molex connectors, uniform wire colors. Seco, Corbin, Russwin, Curry's, Folger, Adam, Graham. I don't know if Graham is still in the mix. Hess, McKinney, Rickson, Sargent, Yale. So in my job, I'm doing Sargent locks, going through Rickson pivot hardware. Maybe back to whatever the case is. That's all I did at ElectroLYNX on that job. Eliminates the guesswork and confusing wiring diagrams. Well, that sure is the case. When you don't have to worry about the color of the wires, now all of a sudden, and of course we don't advocate people doing installation work that aren't trained and qualified, but it does help keep even the best of us from making a honest mistake when you don't have to worry about what wire color goes where, because it's already done for you. There is an increase in cost, naturally, when you do everything ElectroLYNX, but it's not huge. It's not overwhelming. I think it's priced to the point where you say, yeah, that's an ad, but let's go with that. We definitely want that. Having been associated and having sat in classes of low voltage hardware being taught by people who live and breathe it every single day, lack of integrity on the wire is the first place they start looking, visually, and then the voltmeter comes out. So this link to the catalog page that's linked here, 3 pages of summary material. Really, it's a page out of the Strike catalog. And the 2004 M, allows you to get from your Hess strikes to your ElectroLYNX connectors. Okay. I can imagine a way how they might upgrade this to have, 2 different pigtails, one with a Hess, a 1006 strike, and then a Molex connector. But I think at that point you're really going to be dealing with a total of 4 different possibilities. 2 voltages naturally, and then 4 and 8-pin Molex connectors. There's a link here to the manufacturer's page. That's a fun link because that will allow you to review not only all of the Hess products, HES, Hanchett Electric Systems, I think they were called. That was an independent company many years ago. You can see all the Hess strikes, Hess items that we sell, and where Hess really made a lot of inroads in initially was with their very interesting concept of their modular strike, which was their 1006 strike. So with this strike, with the really huge keeper, you can then throw in a variety of different faceplates to accommodate all kinds of different locks. Okay? All sorts of stuff you can work here. Exit devices, cylindrical locks, mortise locks, half-inch latch projection, 3/4-inch latch projection, Pullman strikes when you're swapping out the faceplates. The downside I thought originally was, and it still is, it's a really awfully huge strike. You see a lot of hardware there. It's hard to miss a Hess strike when you see it in the field because of how large it is. But at the end of the day, you can standardize on a platform that allows you to know what you're working with as you move through the project. Okay, so there's the catalog. You can review all things Hess related. It's hard to believe that that's a 264-page catalog. Boy, that was like a 18-pager when I first saw it, I think. Yeah, well, they've got Folger Atom in there as well. Yeah, Securitron is in here as well. Mag locks and power supplies, key switches, things of that nature. So that's why it's such a large catalog. I'll tell you, the thing about Hess and Folger Atom and Securitron and Adams Wright, I think all of those companies are in the same technical support department. I might be wrong. I think they might be in Phoenix. But what I'm driving at is I get really, they're responsive is what I'm driving at. I can call them, I can get an answer from them, I can email them, and without exception, I get responses. And admittedly, there are times when I need to ask the question twice. Either I'm confused, or I'm pretty sure I've been given an answer that's not accurate. But the fact of the matter is, what does make them noteworthy is that they always respond, and that is without exception. So the website, the full line catalog, okay, is here for your review. Let's wrap up this video on camera. Okay, a little bit of, and there is an image down below of this, but a description in terms of what the wires are telling you to do. Okay, common, normally open, normally closed. I mean, that should be the title of the book in the door hardware industry when it comes to electrified hardware. Just single pole, double throw switches. Maybe some relay, obviously some relays, but you know, the way I think of a switch, you know, normally open, normally closed, or common, you always have to have the common leg because you have to have two, you know, you have to have two leads, right? So common is always involved. Normally open is like this. No current can go through when it's open, and I think of a door as being ajar. Okay, there's not continuity in a flat wall when the door is ajar, and when that door is closed, normally closed, you have continuity. But normally, then the term open or closed is, the way I was told is, what is it when you take it out of the box? What is it? That's its natural state. So if you had a strike that was, you know, fail secure, and you were going to control that with a switch, I would think you want normally open. So when you take it out of the box, the circuit is open. When you put it into its temporary state, it will close the circuit, allow power to flow to the strike, which is fail secure, but now it's unlocked because it's energized. And when you open that circuit again, the power is cut, the strike goes back to its natural state, locked. When you affect that switch, put it back to its natural state, open. So it's there you go. Admittedly, everybody who sold hardware or installed it has had a problem with everyone's hardware at one point. I happen to have a problem with a Hess strike on a job that twice, actually. One time, it put the bad taste in my mouth about the quality of the strike. It was an abusive application. They were abusing the daylights out of it, and the strike just couldn't somehow, you know, was it the strike? Was someone destroying it over time? I went there and repaired it, but I thought to myself, this standard commercial volume should not be taxing this grade 1 strike, which I've learned in my life. Just because it's grade 1 doesn't mean you should use it in all applications. Or that particular grade 1 piece of hardware. The second time it left a real bad taste in my mouth is a client of mine, a major alarm company, a major national alarm company, called, and they have an electric strike. They ordered a 1006 from me. They installed it. They wired it. They just said, here's the strike my client wants to use. Send it to me. Okay, great. Saturday at about 11 in the morning, I get a call. They're using the card swipe to not only allow employees entrance, but to log their in to start their time clock. The strike is behaving intermittently. Okay. And at that time, I didn't know much about low voltage as I do now, but at that time, I'm thinking, okay, intermittently, is there a problem with the incoming power? Is there a physical problem with the strike, you know, with the solenoid? I go out to the job. It's an hour away. You know, I've got dinner guests coming later, and I'm out there at at this commercial building trying to figure out what's wrong with the strike, and I get my voltmeter. I didn't have a voltmeter with me. I'm just operating the strike, and I can see, oh, it works, and then it doesn't work. Well, it works, and then I take the strike apart, and actually it wasn't, I don't believe it was a 1006, although it may have been. It was the design of strike that has two solenoids, basically, top and bottom. And what I was able to visually observe is when I pulled the strike out and held it, I can see that the lower trigger was releasing, but the upper one wasn't always. And I said to myself, boy, it seems like gravity is taking over on that one that's tripping. And I says, well, what could cause that? Because that upper solenoid wasn't working as it should. And I says, well, where's the power? Because it could be power. Now I'm going to inspect the power. I'm going to get a voltmeter and inspect the power. I go inside the opening. I look up. I don't see nothing. I see a couple of bell wire. I says, well, that's strange, because this is like a 30-foot precast concrete building, 60,000 square feet. I say, well, that's interesting. Let's follow those wires back. I mean, bell wire. I walk over this way. I walk 30 feet that way. I walk 100 feet that way, and I'm still chasing those wires down. And I realized at that moment, I may not be, Thomas Edison, but I know that there's a problem with where the power is coming from, the diameter of the the diameter of the conductor, meaning how far away is it, and the diameter of the conductor, and what you're putting out. What's your power? How many amps are you pushing through it? And I realized as I walked 100 feet that way, I was another 300 feet away. Kept going to the point where I couldn't go any further. Now I'm 300 feet away from the opening, and I've concluded there's no way that it's getting adequate power to operate the strike. And I realized the reason that the bottom keeper solenoid is working, because it is being assisted by gravity, and the top one is being, worked against by gravity. I call up the client and I say, listen, you called, I came. Why is the power supply so far away? He tells me, oh, actually, yesterday they didn't want the power supply at the opening and they moved it to the back of the building. I says, that's your problem. You don't put that power supply back where you found it, or get a bigger power supply and a lot bigger conductor, because the diameter of your wire, the thicker the wire, the less resistance that you have. However, I had a client one time want to put an electric strike a fifth of a mile away, 1,000 feet away from the power source. And I was trying to make them understand the size of the power supply and the diameter of the conductor. I mean, the conductor would have been the diameter of a quarter. So all of this conspires to whether or not it works. The point of all of that is, in that instance, it wasn't Hess's problem, but we all have jobs where you have a bad taste in your mouth, and unfortunately that has lingered with me. But the moral of the story is reduce the possibility for mistakes like using ElectroLYNX when you can, because it will absolutely help that 11:30 on a Saturday call. And it's a big problem, because not only can the employees not come in, but now payroll is going to go nuts trying to figure out, when did you come to work? Who's telling the truth? You're supposed to start at 8 o'clock. Why didn't you clock in till 10? Or you're saying you were here at 7. So reducing the, it's a trickle-down effect. It's a, one little error can potentially affect many things around it. And when you have electric circuits, it will affect everything. Anyway, if you have any questions on the 2004 M ElectroLYNX adapter for the Hess product line or any other Hess product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.